Jai Shri Ram. Now we come to 45, Canto 45. So, what is there in the canto? When the citizens that followed Sri Ram in his journey to the forest refused to return, even when pleaded by Sri Ram in many ways, unable as they were to bear separation from him, Sri Ram with Sita, and Lakshman gets down from his chariot and begins to walk. The citizens try to deflect him from his course and persuade him to return, but in vain. At the close of the day, they all reach the bank of Tamas. People devoted to the high-souled Sri Ram of unfailing prowess followed him on his way to the forest for exile. Even when the king was made to return, much against his will, governed as he was by the code of conduct prescribed for friends and relations, accompanying a departing friend to some distance only, they would not return on any account and continued to follow the chariot. For Sri Ram, who enjoyed great celebrity and was richly endowed with excellences, had become the favorite like the full moon of the people residing in Ayodhya. Even though being implored by those devoted people to return, the said Sri Ram, a scion of Kakushtha, pressed on to the forest only, thereby proving his father to be true to his words. Fondly gazing on those people as though drinking them with his eyes, Sri Ram lovingly spoke to them as follows, as though they were his own children. The love and high esteem that has been bestowed upon me by you, the inhabitants of Ayodhya, may for my pleasure be bestowed in a special measure to Bharat. On Bharat, for Bharat, who enhances the delight of Kaikeyi and who is possessed of an excellent conduct, will properly do things which are not only pleasing but conducive to your best interest too. Elderly in wisdom, though juvenile in age, tender though adorned with heroic qualities, he will prove to be a worthy master and will dispel your fears. Endowed as he is with kingly virtues, he has been thought fit to be the prince regent. For this reason, too, the behest of your master must be carried out by you, and also because you are enjoined by me. Moreover, with intent to oblige me, the said emperor should be treated by you in such a way that he may not suffer agony when I have gone in exile to the forest. The more did Sri Ram, son of Dashrath, hold fast to righteousness in the form of obedience to his father's wishes, the more did the people desire him to be their ruler. Sri Ram with Lakshman, son of Sumitra, drew as it were by their virtues the residents of Ayodhya who were afflicted and covered with tears as though bound with cords. Of them, such Brahmans as were senior in three ways, viz. In point of wisdom, age, and power acquired through asceticism, and whose heads were shaking under weight of senility, spoke from a distance as follows, unable as they were to keep pace with the chariot of Sri Ram. Return, O swift steeds of excellent breed, drawing the chariot conveying Sri Ram, and be friendly to your master, since by taking Sri Ram against our wishes, you will be doing a disservice to him, and you ought not to proceed further. Indeed, all created beings which are endowed with ears, more so horses, stand apprised of our entreaty. Therefore, please return. The said master of yours is exceedingly pure minded, heroic, and a man of virtuous and firm resolve. As such, he justly deserves to be conveyed by you nearer the city and not to be carried away from the city to the forest. Perceiving those aged Brahmins uttering such plaintive words, Sri Ram precipitately got down from the chariot, so the tradition goes, taking close strides in order to enable the aged Brahmins to overtake him. Sri Ram now proceeded on foot with Sita and Lakshman in the direction of the forest, which constituted his final destination, without stopping or receding to meet and console the Brahmins, since that would amount to breach of vow undertaken by him to depart for the forest. For the said Sri Ram, who was affectionate by disposition and had compassion in his eyes, could not send back those Brahmins walking on foot while continuing to be in the chariot himself. Perplexed in mind, nay, sore distressed to see the celebrated Sri Ram still pressing on, the Brahmins spoke to him as follows. The whole of this Brahman community is following you, devoted as you are to the Brahmans. Nay, borne on the shoulders of the Brahmans through the medium of the two pieces of wood used for kindling the fire by attrition and the vessel intended for holding it, these sacred fires too are following them. Pray, look at these canopies obtained by us during the performance of a Vajpaya sacrifice and following at your heels like white clouds appearing in autumn, making the end of the monsoon. With these canopies of ours obtained during a Vajpayee sacrifice, we shall give shade to you who have got no canopy and as such are being scorched with rays of the sun. Indeed, that mind of ours which was heretofore engaged in pursuing the study of Vedic texts has now been made to follow the course of exile to the forest for your sake, O darling. The Vedas, which constitute our supreme riches, stand preserved in our hearts' memory and protected by their character. Our consorts too will continue to stay in our homes alone. We need not, therefore, be deterred by any anxiety on their score. No decision need to be taken by us on the matter afresh, since our mind is fully determined to follow you to the forest. Yet, we should like to tell you that in the event of your turning indifferent to piety in the form of listening to the advice of the Brahmins, what being will remain devoted to the path of virtue? Solicited by us with our heads bent low, heads which are covered with hair white as the down of swans and are soiled with dust as a result of their falling on the ground in the course of our prostration to you, whom we know to be none other than Lord Vishnu, pray turn back, O Prince resolute of conduct. Sacrifices have been started by many of those Brahmins that have come here to follow you. Their conclusion, O darling, depends on your return. Nay, all created beings, both inanimate and animate, here are full of devotion to you. Pray, show your affection to such devotees who are imploring you to return by acceding to their request. Tall trees, whose power of locomotion stands completely hampered by their roots, penetrating deep into the earth, and which are therefore unable to follow you, are crying as it were through the creaking sound produced by the force of wind and thus asking you to return. Birds too, which sit motionless and are unable to go out in search of food and which remain fixed to one spot on the boughs of trees, solicit you to return, compassionate as you are to all created beings. While the aforesaid Brahmins were crying thus with a view to persuading Sri Ram to return, the river Tamas came to view as though regarding the progress of Sri Ram, a sign of Raghu. Releasing the horses, fatigued as they were from the chariot and quickly making them roll afterwards, Sumantra too allowed them to graze not very far from the bank of the Tamas once they had drunk the water and had their body washed in the river. Thus ends Canto 45 in the Ayodhya Kand of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, a work of the Rishi and the oldest epic. Now we come to Canto 46. In this you will see, having reached the bank of Tamas and thinking of the plight of the people of Ayodhya, Sri Ram lays himself down on a bed of leaves, bewailing the lot of his parents and feeling reassured by the thought of Bharat's noble qualities, while Lakshman opens his dialogue with Sumantra on the divine excellences of Sri Ram. Waking up in the meantime, Sri Ram urges the charioteer minister to drive the chariot in such a way as to put the citizens that had accompanied them off the scent and lead them to think that the chariot had turned back towards Ayodhya instead of proceeding towards the forest. He then mounts the chariot along with Sita and Lakshman and presses on to the forest. Then, taking his stand on the delightful bank of the Tamas and gazing on Sita, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, spoke to Lakshman, son of Sumitra, as follows. Today, O Lakshman, is the very first night of our exile in the forest, and since it is to the forest that we have been sent away, you ought not to feel anxious for those that have been left behind. May all be well with you. Look here, sought for shelter by beasts and birds retiring to their respective abode, the desolate woods are crying, as it were, on all sides. The city of Ayodhya, the capital of my father, King Dashrath, with its men and women, will for its part lament today for us three that have departed for the forest. There is no doubt about it. For the people of Ayodhya are devoted to the king no less than to you and myself, as also to Bharat and Shatrughan, for our manifold virtues, O tiger among men. I bewail the lot of my father as well as my illustrious mother Kaushalya. I fear lest those parents of ours who must be incessantly weeping should be deprived of their eyesight. I am sure that the pious minded Bharat will console my father and mother by means of words assuring them of religious merit, material welfare, and self gratification. Reflecting again and again on the tender heartedness of Bharat, O mighty armed prince, I do not lament for my father and mother, but by following me to the forest, O tiger among men, a great purpose of mine has been served by you, for otherwise aid would have to be sought for me by me for looking after Sita in a princess of the Videha kingdom. I shall certainly live on water alone tonight, O son of Sumitra. Although there are various kinds of wild fruits and roots, this alone pleases me. Having told Lakshman, son of Sumitra, as above, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, so the tradition goes, spoke to Sumantra too as follows. Attend you to the horses now, O good sir. Fastening the horses tightly, the sun having completely set, and supplying them with abundant grass, the said Sumantra returned to the presence of Sri Ram. Having worshipped the goddess presiding over the benign evening twilight, according to his grade in society, and seeing the night fallen, the charioteer, along with Lakshman, a son of Sumitra, prepared a ground suitable for Sri Ram to sleep on by brushing aside gravel and particles of dust, etc., as well as a bed of leaves. Perceiving the aforesaid bed overspread by Sumantra with fresh leaves of trees on the bank of the Tamas with the help of Lakshman, Sri Ram with his consort lay down on it, so they say. Observing Sri Ram buried in deep sleep with his spouse, fatigued as he was, Lakshman for his part began to recount the various virtues of Sri Ram before the charioteer. The sun rose past Lakshman, son of Sumitra, even as he was recounting to the charioteer on the bank of the Tamas the excellences of Sri Ram, both Lakshman and Sumantra keeping awake the whole of that night. At a respectable distance from the Tamas, whose bank was crowded with herds of cows, Sri Ram spent that night with the citizens of the aforesaid stretch of land. On the aforesaid stretch of land. Getting up from the bed and seeing those people lying at some distance, Sri Ram, who was possessed of extraordinary splendor, spoke as follows to his younger brother Lakshman, who was endowed with auspicious bodily marks. Behold, O Lakshman, the citizens, full of great longing for us and absolutely unmindful of their homes, as also of their near and dear ones, lying close to the roots of trees till this late hour, O son of Sumitra. For from the way in which these citizens are taking pains to take us back to Ayodhya, it seems they will even lay down their lives, but would in no case give up their resolve. Therefore, while they are fast asleep, let us in the meantime quickly mount the chariot and take a route which has no fear of molestation from any quarter, so that the citizens of Ayodhya, the ancient capital of Ikshvaku, who are so keenly devoted to me, may not henceforth have to repose learning against the roots of trees as of now. The residents of a city ruled over by a king should indeed be completely and finally rid by the sons of their rulers of suffering brought about by the citizens themselves. The citizens should on no account be burdened with affliction caused by the princes themselves, as in our case. Lakshman replied as follows to Sri Ram, who was firm as virtue incarnate. What you say appeals to me, O wise brother. Pray, ascend the chariot quickly. So Sri Ram then said to the charioteer, please get the chariot ready soon. On it I shall proceed to the forest, Depart from this place at once, my revered. Having got the chariot ready with those excellent horses yoked to it with great expedition, the charioteer for his part thereupon submitted as follows with folded hands to Sri Ram. Here is your chariot ready, O mighty armed prince. Pray ascend it quickly with Sita and Lakshman, O jewel among chariot warriors. May prosperity attend you. Mounting the aforesaid chariot with all necessities for travelling, viz. His bow, armour, quiver, spade, basket, and so on, Sri Ram, a scion of Raghu, speedily crossed thereby the swift flowing Tamas, thickly set with eddies. Having duly crossed the stream, the glorious Sri Ram, who was possessed of mighty arms, reached a smooth road, free from obstacles and safe even for those who are apprehensive of danger. With a view to putting the citizens off the scent, Sri Ram, for his part, spoke to the charioteer as follows: Mounting the chariot alone, O charioteer, proceed you northward, and going apace a while, bring the chariot back again, remaining careful. Drive the chariot in such a way that the citizens may not be able to locate me. Hearing the command of Sri Ram, the said chariot for his part did as he was told, and returning by a different route, reported to Sri Ram the arrival of the chariot. Then Sri Ram and Lakshman, their promoters of the race of Raghu, for their part, along with Sita, comfortably took their seats in the chariot, which was duly kept ready by the charioteer for their use. The said charioteer thereupon urged the horses along the route by which they could reach a forest suited to the practice of austerities. At the onset, however, the charioteer placed the chariot facing the north, for he saw omens auspicious for the journey in that quarter. Having duly occupied the chariot, Sri Ram, son of Dashrath, who was a great car warrior, thereupon proceeded to the forest along with the charioteer. Thus ends Canto 46 in the Ayodhya Kand of the glorious Ramayana of Valmiki, the work of a Rishi and the oldest epic. Jai Shri Ram.